Welcome to Try to Thrive, the podcast where passion meets endurance and every finish line is just the beginning. We're here to inspire, challenge, and share our journey through swim, bike, run, and beyond.
This episode is sponsored by Netbox Labs. Hey everyone, welcome to Try to Thrive. I'm Dennis, and today I'm flying solo because Chris is off doing probably something nerdy with his home lab. You know how he is. But today's topic is actually something I'm really passionate about, and I think a lot of you out there can relate to this. We're talking about triathlon on a budget. Because let's be honest, triathlon has this reputation of being like a rich person's sport. You look at the starting line of an Ironman, and you see carbon bikes worth more than some people's cars, aero helmets that look like they came from a NASA lab, and GPS watches that could probably launch a satellite. And here's the thing, I totally get it. When I started out, I looked at all this stuff and thought, man, do I really need to sell a kidney to do this sport? Spoiler alert, you don't. You really, really don't. So today, I'm going to break down exactly how you can get into triathlon without going broke. Real numbers, real tips, and a few stories of my own spectacular budget fails along the way. Let's dive in. Okay, so let's talk numbers first. According to a 2024 survey by Triathlon magazine, the average triathlete spends about $3,500 per year on the sport. That includes gear, race entries, nutrition, coaching, the whole package. And some people spend way more. The top 10% of spenders, over $10,000 a year, $10,000 on a hobby. Now, I'm going to tell you something that might sound kind of crazy. You can do your first triathlon for under $500 total, maybe even less if you're clever about it. Let's break it down by discipline. Swimming, this is actually the cheapest part. You need a pair of goggles, $15 to $30, a swimsuit, $20 to $40. Pool membership varies, but in most European cities, you're looking at $30 to $50 per month. And if you're doing open water and need a wetsuit, and here's the budget hack, rent one. Most triathlon shops rent wetsuits for $30 to $50 per race. Buying a decent one costs $200 to $500. So unless you're racing 5 times a year, renting just makes way more sense. Total swimming setup, about $80 to $120 plus your monthly pool fees. Cycling. Okay, this is where people kind of lose their minds with spending. But here's the truth. You do not need a $5,000 triathlon bike to finish a triathlon. You don't even need a road bike for your first one. I did my first sprint triathlon on a second-hand hybrid bike that cost me €150. Was it fast? No. Was it pretty? Absolutely not. Did I finish? You bet I did. Here's my budget approach to cycling. A used road bike, $300 to $800 on Facebook Marketplace or local cycling groups. Look for aluminum frames. They're durable, affordable, and perfectly fine for training and racing. A helmet, $30 to $60. Please don't skip this one. It doesn't need to be aero, it just needs to be certified. Basic cycling shorts, $25 to $40. Trust me, your butt will thank you. And a flat repair kit, about $15. Learn to fix a flat. YouTube is your friend here. Total cycling setup, about $400 to $900 with a used bike. Running, this is the simplest one. Running shoes, $80 to $130. Go to a running store, get fitted properly. This is the one thing I'd say don't go ultra cheap on. Bad shoes lead to injuries, and injuries are the most expensive thing in triathlon. Shorts and a shirt, you probably already own these. Total running setup, $80 to $130. So if we add it all up, the absolute minimum to get started, somewhere between $560 and about $1,150. Compare that to the $3,500 average annual spend. You're already winning. All right, now let's get into the real hacks. The stuff that, separates the smart budget triathletes from the ones crying at their bank statements. Hack number 1, buy off season. This is huge. Triathlon gear follows seasonal pricing like crazy. Wetsuits in October, 30 to 50% off. Bikes in November and December. Dealers need to clear inventory for next year's models. I bought my current road bike, a 2023 model, in January 2024 for 40% less than the summer price. Same bike, just a different calendar date. That's it. Hack number 2, join a triathlon club. I know what you're thinking. Dennis, that costs money too. Yes, club fees are usually $50 to $150 per year. But here's what you actually get. Group training sessions that replace expensive coaching, access to club equipment. Some clubs have spare wheels, turbos, even wetsuits you can borrow, and discounts on race entries. Many races offer 10 to 20% club discounts. Over a season, the club membership literally pays for itself 3 times over. Plus, you know what Chris and I always say. Community is everything. Having training partners keeps you accountable and makes the whole journey just more fun. Hack number 3. Forget about supplements. Just eat real food. The sports nutrition industry is a $45 billion market. Let me say that again. $45 billion. They want you to believe you need special gels, recovery shakes, electrolyte tablets, and protein bars for every single workout. Here's the truth. For workouts under 90 minutes, which is most of your training, you need water and maybe a banana. That's it. For longer sessions, homemade energy drinks work great. My recipe, water, a pinch of salt, a tablespoon of honey, and a squeeze of lemon. Costs about 20 cents per bottle versus $2 to $3 for a commercial sports drink. And for recovery, chocolate milk. I'm not kidding. Studies from the University of Connecticut and the University of Texas have shown that chocolate milk has an ideal 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 carb to protein ratio for post-exercise recovery. It's basically as effective as commercial recovery drinks at a fraction of the cost. This episode is sponsored by Netbox Labs. Netbox Labs makes sense of complex networks and infrastructure. As the commercial steward of open source Netbox, the most popular platform for operating, automating, understanding, and securing complex networks and infrastructure, Netbox Labs delivers a world-class portfolio of open, composable products across network discovery, assurance, operations, and observability. Netbox Labs fosters and invests in a vibrant community of tens of thousands of network and infrastructure professionals. Top companies like Arm, Cisco, Constant Contact, CoreWeave, JP Morgan, Kaiser Permanente, and Riot Games trust Netbox Labs to understand, operate, and transform their critical infrastructure. With that being said, let's get back to the topic. Hack number 4, free training plans. You don't need a $200 per month coach when you're starting out. Websites like TrainerRoad, MyProCoach, and even the Garmin Connect app offer free sprint and Olympic distance training plans. Are they as personalized as a coach? No. But for your first race or your first season, they're absolutely enough. There are also amazing YouTube channels, and obviously ours, where you can learn proper technique for all 3 disciplines. The amount of free knowledge out there is honestly insane compared to even 5 years ago. Hack number 5, race smart. Race entries can be expensive, anywhere from $50 for a local sprint to over $700 for an Ironman branded event. Here are some budget tips. Enter early. Most races have early bird pricing that's 20 to 30% cheaper. Look for local, Non-branded races, there are amazing local triathlon clubs that organize races for $30 to $60. They might not have the fancy medals and branded finisher shirts, but the experience is often more fun because the community vibe is just stronger. And volunteer first. Many races give you a free or discounted entry the following year if you volunteer. You also get to see how a race works from the inside, which is invaluable for a first timer. Okay, now I've told you all the ways to save money, but I want to be really honest with you. There are things worth spending money on. Budget doesn't mean cheap on everything. It means being, strategic about it. Number one, running shoes. I already mentioned this, but I'll say it again because it's that important. A proper pair of running shoes fitted at a real running store where they actually analyze your gait is the single best investment in triathlon. Bad shoes don't just slow you down, they break you. Shin splints, plantar fasciitis, knee pain, these injuries can sideline you for weeks or months. And you know what's more expensive than a $130 pair of shoes? 6 weeks of physiotherapy. The data backs this up. A study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that running-related injuries affect 40 to 50% of runners annually, and improper footwear is one of the top contributing factors. Number 2, a basic bike fit. You don't need the $500 laser-guided professional bike fit, but spending $50 to $100 at your local bike shop to get your saddle height, handlebar position, and cleat alignment dialed in is worth every penny. A bad bike position leads to knee pain, back pain, and, trust me on this one, very unpleasant saddle sores that I will not describe in detail on this podcast. A proper position also makes you more efficient. Research from the Journal of Science and Medicine in Sport shows that an optimized bike fit can improve power output by 3 to 5% without any extra training. That's basically free speed. Number 3, one swim lesson. Even just a single session with a qualified swim coach can transform your stroke. When I started swimming, I was like burning energy like crazy because my technique was just terrible. One lesson, 1 single hour. And the coach fixed my head position, my catch, and my kick timing. My pace improved by 15 seconds per 100 meters almost overnight. If you can afford a few lessons, great. But even just one gives you the foundation to practice correctly on your own. Bad technique practiced 1,000 times is still bad technique. Number 4, chamois cream. Okay, this might sound funny, but hear me out. A $15 tube of chamois cream will save you from days of pain and possibly an infection. Chafing is no joke. This applies to cycling and running. Budget triathlon does not mean suffering through preventable pain. Let me share a bit of my own story here because I think it's important to know that you don't need to have it all figured out from day one. When I decided to do my first triathlon, I was coming back from multiple surgeries, 7 hernia operations. If you've listened to our earlier episodes, you know the story. I was literally rebuilding from zero, and my budget was, let's call it creative. My first triathlon bike was a city bike, not even a proper hybrid. A city bike with a basket on the front. I'm not even exaggerating. I took the basket off for the race, obviously, because I have some dignity. But that bike weighed about 18 kilos and had no road tires. Did people look at me funny in the transition area? Absolutely. Did I care? A little bit, honestly. But I finished, and that's what mattered. My total investment for my first race was probably around 200 euros. Goggles, a race entry, some running shoes I already had, and the embarrassment of riding a city bike past people with time trial bikes. And here's what I learned. Nobody at a triathlon judges you for your gear. at least not the people who matter. The triathlon community is incredibly supportive. At my first race, a guy with a 10,000 euro setup high-fived me at the finish line and said, "Dude, respect for doing it on that bike." That moment was worth more than any carbon frame. Over time, I upgraded gradually. I bought a used road bike after my third race, got a proper wetsuit a year later, started investing in better nutrition. But the foundation was always race first, upgrade later. And you know what's funny? Some of my best race memories are actually from those early budget days. There's something special about knowing you did it with pure grit and minimal gear. Chris always says, and he's right, the engine matters more than the chassis. You can put the best parts on a bike, but if your fitness isn't there, it won't help you. Conversely, if you're fit and trained, you'll smoke people on expensive bikes while riding your budget aluminum frame. I've seen it happen. I've done it. So let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. 1. Triathlon does not have to be expensive. You can start for under $500 to $600 if you're smart about it. Don't let the Instagram pictures of $15,000 setups scare you away from this amazing sport. 2. Spend money where it matters. Running shoes, a basic bike fit, and at least one swim lesson. Save on everything else. 3. Buy off season, join a club, use free training plans, and race local events. These 4 things alone can cut your annual triathlon spending in half. 4. The best investment in triathlon isn't gear. It's consistency. A $500 bike ridden 5 days a week will beat a $5,000 bike ridden once a week. Every single time. And 5. Don't compare your gear to anyone else's. Compare your effort. That's what Try to Thrive is all about. Becoming your best self, not having the best stuff. If you're sitting on the fence thinking, I can't afford to do triathlon, I'm telling you right now, you can. Start small, be smart with your money, and get out there. And hey, if you see someone on a city bike at your next race, give them a high five from me, will you? Thanks for listening, everybody. If you enjoyed this episode, smash that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share it with someone who's been making excuses about the cost of triathlon. Until next time, keep thriving.